The entire compound stood watching as thick black smoke poured from the windows of the main house. Flames licked the walls. The roof crackled and groaned. People screamed. Neighbors ran with buckets of water, but it was too late. The fire was too strong, too angry, spreading too fast. And in the middle of the chaos, Mama G stood frozen, her mouth open in shock, her expensive wrapper already stained with ash. She watched as everything she owned, everything she had used to oppress others, burned to the ground. But what broke her completely was not just the fire, it was the man standing across the street, watching quietly. The man she had thrown out of his apartment just 3 months ago, the disabled man she had called useless, the man she had mocked and insulted and treated like garbage, Mr. Peter. And he was standing beside a brand new car, dressed in clean clothes, looking healthier than she had seen him in years. That was the moment Mama G realized that God does not sleep.
Help me, oh! My life has been ruined. Mr. Peter, please.
But to understand how a woman as wicked as Mama G ended up losing everything, while the man she despised gained everything, we must go back to the beginning. Back to when Mr. Peter was not disabled. Back to when Mama G's cruelty was just starting to reveal itself. Back to the days when everyone in that compound still had hope. Before we continue, I want you to know this is a story you can listen to while doing other things. You do not need to watch the screen, just let the story speak to your heart. If this story touches you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Also, comment below and tell us where you are watching from and what time it is. We love reading your comments. Now, let us go back to the beginning, to the woman everyone called Mama G. Everyone in Ejigbo, Lagos, knew Mama G. Her real name was Mrs. Gloria Okonkwo, but no one called her that. They called her Mama G because she owned the biggest compound on Ishaga Road, a 2-story building with 12 rooms that she rented out to tenants. Mama G was a widow. Her husband had died 10 years ago and left her the building and some money. But instead of using her position to be kind, Mama G had become one of the most wicked landladies in all of Lagos. She was tall and big, with a loud voice that could be heard from 3 houses away. She wore expensive wrappers and gold jewelry, and she made sure everyone knew she was the owner. Every first day of the month she would come to collect rent, and if you were even 1 day late, she would stand outside your door and shout insults so loud that the whole street would hear. "Useless tenant! You think this is your father's house? If you cannot pay rent, go back to your village," she would scream. She increased rent every 6 months without warning. If you complained, she would tell you to pack out. She never fixed anything in the compound. If your roof leaked, she would say, use a bucket. If your toilet was blocked, she would say, go and use the public toilet outside. If the gate was broken, if the water was not running, if the light wires were hanging dangerously, Mama G did not care. As long as she collected her rent, nothing else mattered. Her favorite phrase was, "If you do not like it, leave. There are many people waiting to rent this place." And it was true. Because accommodation was expensive in Lagos, people endured her wickedness just to have a roof over their heads. But among all her tenants, there was one man she respected, one man who never gave her trouble, one man who always paid his rent on time and even early sometimes. His name was Mr. Peter Eze. Mr. Peter lived in room number 7 with his wife Patience and their 2 young children, a boy and a girl. He was a factory worker at a big manufacturing company in Ikeja. He worked hard, he was responsible, he was quiet and respectful. Every month on the 28th, before rent was even due, Mr. Peter would knock on Mama G's door and hand her his rent in full. Mama G loved him for this. She would smile at him and say, "Mr. Peter, you are a good man. If all my tenants were like you, I would not have high blood pressure." She even reduced his rent once, something she had never done for anyone. When other tenants complained about the broken pipes or the bad roof, Mama G would point at Mr. Peter and say, "See, Mr. Peter, he does not complain. He just pays his rent and minds his business. That is what a good tenant looks like." Mr. Peter was not silent because he did not see the problems. He was silent because he believed in focusing on what he could control. He could control working hard and paying his rent. He could not control Mama G's heart. But everything changed on one terrible Tuesday afternoon. Mr. Peter was working his shift at the factory when one of the old machines malfunctioned. The company had been warned many times by workers that the machine needed servicing, but management kept saying they would do it later. They wanted to save Mari. That Tuesday later became too late. The machine exploded. Metal pieces flew everywhere. Workers screamed and ran. And Mr. Peter, who was standing closest to the machine, was hit by a large piece of metal that crushed his legs. He collapsed, bleeding, unconscious. They rushed him to the hospital. The doctors worked for hours to save his life. He survived, but both his legs were badly damaged. The doctors said he would never walk properly again. He would need a wheelchair or crutches for the rest of his life. Mr. Peter woke up in the hospital bed 3 days later, his wife Patience crying beside him, holding his hand. "Where are the children?" he asked weakly. "They are with my sister," Patience said, tears running down her face. "Peter, the doctor said you cannot work anymore." The words hit him harder than the metal had. He closed his eyes. His whole body felt heavy. Not from the pain in his legs, but from the weight of what this meant. No more work, no more salary. How would he feed his family? How would he pay rent? How would he survive? The factory management came to see him once. They brought fruits and said they were very sorry. But when Mr. Peter's lawyer, a kind man from his church who was helping him for free, tried to discuss compensation, the factory management changed completely. They denied responsibility. They said the machine was fine and that Mr. Peter had been careless. They said it was his own fault. They refused to pay him anything except 1 month's salary as goodbye. Mr. Peter was heartbroken. But his lawyer, Barrister James, told him, "Do not worry. We will take them to court. What they did was illegal. You will get justice. But it will take time." And so the court case began. But court cases in Nigeria do not move fast. Weeks became months. And during those months, Mr. Peter's life became a nightmare. He came home from the hospital in a wheelchair. His wife had to carry him up the stairs to their room because Mama G's building had no ramp. Their savings finished quickly. Medical bills, feeding, children's school fees. By the end of the second month, Mr. Peter could not pay rent. He sent his wife to Mama G to explain the situation and beg for a little more time. Mama G's face, which used to smile at Mr. Peter, turned to stone. "What do you mean he cannot pay rent?" she barked at Patience. "Madam, please, my husband had an accident. He is in a wheelchair now. He cannot work. But we have a court case. Once the case is settled, we will pay everything. Please, just give us small time." Mama G laughed, a wicked, mocking laugh. "Court case? Do you know how long court cases take in this Nigeria? You people think I am running a charity organization? This is business." "Please, madam," Patience begged, tears in her eyes. "We have nowhere else to go. Just 2 months. Give us 2 months." Mama G stood up, her big body towering over Patience. "I will give you 2 weeks. If I do not see my rent in 2 weeks, you people will see the other side of me." Patience went home and told her husband. Mr. Peter felt ashamed. He felt like he had failed his family. 2 weeks passed. They could not pay. Mama G came to their door on the 15th day, banging so hard the door almost broke. "Mr. Peter, cripple man, open this door." Inside the room, Mr. Peter sat in his wheelchair, his head down. His children hugged their mothers, scared. Patience opened the door. Mama G pushed past her and stood in the middle of the room, hands on her hips. "Where is my money?" she demanded. "Madam, please." Patience started. "Shut up," Mama G shouted. She turned to Mr. Peter. "So, Mr. Peter, because you are now in wheelchair, you think you do not have to pay rent? You think I will pity you?" Mr. Peter looked up at her, his eyes tired. "Mama G, I am begging you. Just 1 more month. My lawyer says the court date is coming soon." Mama G clapped her hands mockingly. "Court date! Court date! Is it court date that will pay my rent? You see, this is what happens when poor people think they can fight big companies. You have lost your legs and now you want to lose your home too?" The words were like knives. Patience started crying. "You have 1 week," Mama G said coldly. 1 week, or I will throw all your things outside and lock the door. Cripple or no cripple, I do not care." She stormed out. From that day, Mama G's wickedness toward Mr. Peter and his family became unbearable. She would mock him loudly whenever she saw him. "See the man who used to pay rent early? Now he is a beggar." She told other tenants not to help them. If you borrow them money, do not come and cry to me when they do not pay you back." She blocked the only water tap near their room and told them to fetch water from far. She disconnected their electricity, saying they owed her for past bills they had actually paid. One night, Mr. Peter's daughter fell sick with fever. Patients rushed to Mama G's door to beg for money to take the child to the clinic. Mama G opened her window and shouted, "What is my business? Is it me that borne the pikin for you? Go and look for money before your child die." Those words broke something inside Patience. She ran back to the room crying. Neighbors who heard helped her with small money, and they took the child to the clinic. That night, Mr. Peter sat in his wheelchair, staring at the ceiling, tears rolling down his face. "God," he whispered, "if you are there, please help me. I am not asking to walk again. I am just asking for justice. Let this court case favor me so I can take care of my family, please." And in that small, dark room, with his sick daughter sleeping and his wife crying softly, Mr. Peter held on to hope, the only thing Mama G had not been able to take from him. 3 months passed. 3 months of hunger, 3 months of insults, 3 months of pain, but finally the court date came. Barrister James had gathered all the evidence, medical reports, witness statements from other factory workers, records showing that the company had been warned about the machine but ignored the warnings. The case was clear. The factory was guilty of negligence. On the day of judgment, Mr. Peter sat in his wheelchair in the courtroom, his wife beside him, both of them praying silently. The judge read the rule. The factory was ordered to pay Mr. Peter 200 million naira in compensation for his injuries, his lost income, his medical bills, and the trauma his family had suffered. The courtroom went silent. Then Patience screamed, a scream of joy, of relief, of victory. She fell on her knees, thanking God. Mr. Peter covered his face with his hands and wept. 200 million naira. It was more money than he had ever imagined, enough to change his life completely. Within 2 weeks, the money was transferred to his account. The first thing Mr. Peter did was pay for better medical treatment. Doctors said while he might never walk perfectly again, he could get special surgery and therapy that would help him move better with supports. The second thing he did was register his children in better schools. The third thing was to find a new place to live. He bought a beautiful bungalow in a better area, a place with ramps, with space, with peace. He bought a car and hired a driver. He started a small business selling building materials, something he could manage even from his wheelchairs. And when everything was ready, he went back to Mama G's compound one last time. He did not go to beg. He went to pack. Mama G was standing in the compound when the moving truck arrived. Her eyes nearly popped out of her head. "Mr. Peter," she called, her voice suddenly sweet. "What is happening? Where did you see money for truck?" Mr. Peter sat in his wheelchair as the movers carried his belongings out. He looked at Mama G calmly. "I won my court case, Mama G. I have come to move to my own house." Mama G's mouth fell open. Your own house?" "Yes," Mr. Peter said. "I also came to pay you all the rent I owed you." He handed her an envelope with cash inside, far more than he owed, including interest. Mama G collected it with shaking hands. For the first time in her life, she did not know what to say. Other tenants came out, watching, some clapping for Mr. Peter. "Mr. Peter," Mama G said, her voice now trembling, I am sorry for how I treated you. I was just business, you know. It was not personal." Mr. Peter looked at her for a long moment. "Mama G, when I was paying you early every month, you called me a good man. But the moment I could not pay because I was in a wheelchair, you called me a cripple. You mocked me. You insulted my family. You wished my child would die." Mama G's face went pale. "You did not treat me badly because of business, Miss Nye," Peter continued quietly. "You treated me badly because you have no heart, and I pray that one day you will learn that people are not just sources of money. They are human beings." He signaled to the movers and they lifted his wheelchair into the truck. As the truck drove away, Mama G stood in the compound, the envelope of money still in her hand, feeling strangely empty. The other tenants looked at her differently now. They had seen Mr. Peter's dignity. They had seen Mama G's wickedness exposed. That night Mama G could not sleep. She kept thinking about Mr. Peter's words, but she pushed the guilt away. He has moved out, she told herself. It does not matter anymore. I still have my build. I still have my tenants. I am still Mama G. But God was about to teach Mama G a lesson she would never forget. 2 weeks after Mr. Peter moved out, something started happening in Mama G's main house where she lived. The lights began flickering. Tenants in the main building complained of a burning smell. Mama G ignored them. "You people always complaining," she said. Then one afternoon a tenant came running to her. Mama G, there is smoke coming from your ceiling." Mama G rushed to her section of the house. True enough, smoke was seeping through the ceiling boards. "Get water," she screamed. But before they could act, flames burst through. The fire spread rapidly, hungrily, as if it had been waiting for this moment. People screamed. Everyone ran out of the building. Someone called the fire service, but in Lagos the fire service is always late. Mama G stood outside watching in horror as her house, her precious building, burned. The flames consumed her furniture, her clothes, her jewelry, everything she had valued. The tenants managed to save their things from the rooms that had not caught fire yet, but Mama G's personal section was destroyed completely. When the fire service finally arrived and put out the fire, half the building was gone. The entire roof was collapsed. The walls were black with soot. It was uninhabitable. The fire inspector came the next day to investigate. "Madam," he said to Mama G, "this fire was caused by old faulty wiring. The electrical system in this building has not been maintained in years. It was an accident waiting to happen." Mama G's legs became weak. She sat down heavily on the ground. Old wiring. The same wiring tenants had been complaining about for years. The same wiring she had refused to fix because she did not want to spend money. The same wiring she had ignored even when people warned her it was dangerous. Now her greed had destroyed her own house. The tenants, tired of her wickedness and now afraid for their lives, began moving out one by one. Within a month, the compound was almost empty. No one wanted to rent from Mama G anymore. Word spread in the area that her building was dangerous and that she was a wicked landlady. Mama G had no money to repair the extensive damage. She had spent all her money on expensive wrappers, gold, and parties, showing off to people. She had never saved. She had never invested. She had only collected rent and spent it on herself. Now she had nothing. She tried to borrow money from people, but no one wanted to help her. All the people she had looked down on, all the tenants she had insulted, none of them felt pity for her. She went to Mr. Peter. She found out where his new house was and went there one morning, her wrapper torn, her face tired. When Mr. Peter's wife opened the door and saw her, Patience's face hardened. "What do you want?" Patience asked coldly. The same man she had mocked. Now he lived in comfort while she had nothing. Mr. Peter sat in his wheelchair in the living room, looking stronger, healthier. He had gained weight. His eyes were peaceful. "Mama G," he said calmly, "I heard about the fire. I am sorry." Those words, that kindness, broke Mama G completely. She fell to her knees. "Mr. Peter, please forgive me, please. I was wicked to you. I was heartless. I insulted you. I insulted your family. But I am begging you now, help me. Borrow me money to fix my house. I will pay you back, please." Mr. Peter looked at her for a long moment. Patience stood nearby, her arms folded, angry. She did not want her husband to help this woman. But Mr. Peter remembered something. He remembered his mother's words before she died. "Peter," she had said, "no matter how people treat you, do not become like them. Let God judge them. You just keep your heart clean." The same advice I wish someone had given you years ago. She looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. "Your building did not burn because of faulty wiring alone," he said. "It burned because of how you treated people. You collected rent from those tenants for years, but you never fixed anything. You never cared for the building. You never cared for the people. You only cared about money." His voice was gentle but firm. "God allowed that fire to happen to wake you up, to show you that every wicked thing you do will come back to you. You mocked me when I was in a wheelchair, and now you are the one kneeling. You refused to fix your building, and now it is destroyed." Mama G sobbed loudly. "So what should I do?" she cried. "You should learn," Mr. Peter said. "Learn that people are not just sources of income. Learn that when you have power, you should use it to help, not to oppress. Learn that the same person you look down on today might be the person whose help you need tomorrow." He paused, then added, "I will not give you money, but I will pray for you. I will pray that God will give you a new heart. Because money will not solve your problem, Mama G. Your problem is not in your pocket, it is in your heart." Mama G left that house that day broken and ashamed, but Mr. Peter's words followed her. Over the next few months, Mama G had to sell the remaining land around her burnt building to survive. She moved into a single room she rented from another landlord. For the first time in her life, she became a tenant, and the landlord she rented from was kind. He fixed things when they broke. He spoke to her with respect. He did not shout. And Mama G began to understand what she had put her tenants through all those years. 1 year later, Mama G saw Mr. Peter at the market. He was walking slowly with a cane now. The surgery and therapy had helped him. His wife and children were with him, all of them smiling, healthy, happy. Mama G stood at a distance, watching them. Her heart was heavy. But this time the heaviness was not from self-pity, it was from regret. She had learned her lesson. She had learned it the hardest way possible. And though she never became rich again, though she never owned another building, she became something more valuable. She became humble. She became kind. And whenever she told her story, she would end it with the same words. "Do not wait until you lose everything to learn how to treat people right, because by the time you learn, it might be too late." As for Mr. Peter, he lived the rest of his life in peace, not because he had money, though the money helped, but because he had chosen forgiveness over bitterness. He had chosen dignity over revenge, and God blessed him for it. Years later, when his children asked him, "Papa, why did you not help Mama G when she came to beg?" Mr. Peter smiled and said, "I did help her. I gave her the truth. And sometimes the truth is the greatest help you can give someone. Because money would have run out, but the truth I gave her changed her heart. And a changed heart lasts forever." And so the story of Mama G, the wicked landlady who lost everything, became a lesson told throughout Lagos, a reminder that how you treat people when you have power will determine what happens to you when you lose it. A reminder that every seed you plant, whether good or bad, will grow and produce fruit in your life. And a reminder that God may be patient, but He is never blind. He sees everything, and in His time, He balances every scale.